Hey everyone, thanks for joining the Law Schoolers. This is Will, and today we're going to be talking about what I wish I knew when I was preparing for the LSAT. And there are several things that I wish I knew, but I'm going to be focusing on four that I feel are the most important. Focusing on these things is going to help keep you from being distracted, which will help improve your score tremendously. I had an alright score, but I think if I did these things, I would have also increased my score. So here's what I would recommend. First, taking an LSAT course, taking lots of practice tests. It's about the quality of the study, not the quantity of the study. And fourth, don't worry about the little things that could be distracting from performing well. So let's go over these things one by one. First of all, let's talk about taking an LSAT course. When I was preparing for the LSAT, I started well in advance. I started over a year in advance, actually. But instead of taking a course, I chose to go the self-paced route, and I used Khan Academy. And I liked Khan Academy, but unfortunately, I didn't utilize my time as effectively as I should have, and I was distracted by a lot of little things about the LSAT that just took my mind off of studying properly. Khan Academy is a really useful tool, and if I had treated it properly, it would have been very helpful in increasing my LSAT score. But I would recommend going with an LSAT course to increase your ability to perform well on the LSAT. I'll talk about what kind of resources you can use for an LSAT course, but if you have the money, I would most highly recommend it. That's the one downside about an LSAT course is it is quite expensive. Okay, point number 2, take lots of practice tests. I did take a lot of practice tests, but I wish I had taken more. If you do choose to go the self-paced option, you could take practice tests from a couple of places that are free. Khan Academy has a lot of practice tests. They have 10 plus free practice tests, and you can take those under test-like conditions. And then the LSAT Law Hub has a couple of free practice tests that you can take under test-like conditions with realistic LSAT software. So when you take the LSAT, you will be taking it through the LSAT Law Hub, and so the software is very similar, and those tests are quite helpful. So using both of these resources is actually going to help you be the most proficient that you can be at taking the LSAT. I would recommend setting a goal to take an LSAT practice test at least every other week. Doing so will help you see progress a lot faster, and you will become comfortable with taking the actual real LSAT. And the more comfortable you are with taking the real LSAT, the better your score is going to be. So third, it's all about the quality of the study, not the quantity of the study. Like I said, I started preparing for the LSAT well in advance, over a year in advance, but I didn't utilize my study time as effectively as I should have. What I ended up doing was just rushing through practice question after practice question in the hope that answering more questions will increase to a better understanding. And yes, that helps, but it takes a lot longer to get there. So the quality of your study is more important than the quantity of your study because you will improve much faster. So slow down with each problem. If you get a problem wrong, you should stop and review to make sure that you understand what you missed. Even if you get the right answer, you should stop and review to see why the wrong answers were wrong and why the right answer was right. If you're going through problems too quickly, you're going to miss this opportunity to improve quickly. So here's something that you could do during a study session, just briefly going over this. You'll want to choose a skill of what you'll want to focus on, whether it's reading comprehension, logical reasoning, or analytical reasoning. Work through 5 practice problems. Don't worry about doing the problems quickly, like I mentioned before. The more you practice, the faster you're going to become. Review those problems after answering the question. And then after doing that, set a timer for 7 minutes and work through 5 more practice problems. This will give you about 1.5 minutes, a little less than 1.5 minutes per problem. And that's the average time that you're going to have for a problem on the LSAT anyways. So 7 minutes for 5 problems is what you should aim for. And then after doing that, review the problems you missed and why you missed them, and then repeat until you filled up your study time. So 5 problems going really slow, 5 problems practice style and practice test style, and then repeat until you've filled your study time, whether it's half an hour, however long you want to go. Of course, LSAT classes are going to be focusing on helping you with those as well, but the more practice that you can do on your own, it wouldn't hurt. So finally, last point is to not worry about the little things that could distract you from performing well. And this is something that I actually had a really hard time wrapping my head around. But it's important to realize that there are a lot of little details that are necessary to take the LSAT. A few of these is knowing when and how to register, when and how to take the writing section, knowing how long the test is, how much time you have for each question, and how proctoring is going to work, making sure your study area is all set up. My recommendation for this is just to set it aside and let the LSAC take care of it. They're going to send you lots of emails when you're approaching your test deadline, and will help you with making sure that everything is ready so you can perform best for the test. So instead of focusing on those little things that need to get done, because obviously you're going to need to get them done, but instead of dwelling on those things, making sure that you focus your time on proper studying will lead to the best LSAT score that you can get. So just to recap, first, take an LSAT course. Expensive, but worth it. Second, take lots of practice tests. LSAT courses will have practice tests, but you can also take them on your own. Make sure it's the quality of study, not the quantity of study. And then fourth, don't worry about the little things that could distract, because those things will be taken care of in due time. If you focus on these lessons, I know that you will find success in taking the LSAT. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Law Schoolers. Before I let you go, there are 4 things I want to say. The first thing is, if you enjoyed these episodes and if you enjoyed the website, I would invite you to go and join Law Schoolers Pro. And you can do that by going to lawschoolers.com/join. It's a way for you to support us, but there's also a lot of features there that I think you will enjoy. Second thing is that nearly all of our episodes are unedited. The only ones that aren't are pre-law materials, and the reason for that is so you can actually see the legal material in its raw form as I'm learning it as well. The third thing is that the information contained in these episodes are specifically only for educational purposes. They're not to be used as legal advice, and with that, the fourth thing is, if it is used as legal advice, we are not liable. That is, Law Schoolers is not liable for any legal outcomes. Thank you again for enjoying the show. Have a good one.